True luminescence is something that's not born from stodgy ideas of perfectionism, material swinery, or careful social curation. No. Luminescence, actually, in its most primed and pure essence, is a raw, uncompromising, and with an aura that is so big and bright that no amount of shadows or sharks can ever diminish it. Alexis Arquette was, and forever is, the sole definition of true luminescence. Whenever anyone speaks or writes about Alexis, there are usually two things that come up. First, Alexis is, of course, from the famed Arquette clan, which includes siblings David, Patricia, and Rosanna. Their father was popular working character actor Louis Arquette, and his father, none other than Cliff Arquette, aka Charlie Weaver. In fact, if you go even further back, you can trace their lineage to actual literal vaudevillians. It's basically the fun side of biblical, with all of the begetting, but none of the guilt. The other thing that comes up is gender. Since Alexis, who had already been presenting as an openly gay man since her mid-teens, came out as a trans woman in the early 2000s. When it comes to gender, our society is still very far from being evolved enough culturally or empathy-wise, but things were actually even worse and more backwards back when Alexis was still with us. However, the real beauty and power of Alexis Arquette, it's not her family, it's not whatever gender construct we want to apply, whether somebody's open-minded or not, is that Alexis Arquette was and forever is an artist who refused to be categorized. Forget those whose eyes, minds, and hearts only ingest tabloid nonsense and status quo doldrums. No. For this essay, I will be using she and her as Alexis's pronouns, but I do want to note that Alexis, even after she came out as transgendered, would sometimes go back and forth with pronouns with her friends and family. Reading interviews with her and certainly about her, you definitely see a picture painted of somebody who is not afraid to embrace some gender fluidity. And I love that. That's another thing I think to be cherished about her. In fact, you know what? The fact that even at a young age, Alexis had such little qualms about being out, both as a gay man and you know, if you want to talk about her 1990s era drag alter ego, Eva Destruction, which is how I first heard of her back then, and then later coming out as a woman, it just shows so much strength in a strong individual core. This is a person who was all but practically born refusing easy categorization. Before she started focusing on acting, her original goal was to be a visual artist, which is something she continued to do off and on throughout the rest of her life. She even actually has a credit on helping design the jacket for the DVD single for the Beastie Boys music video for Intergalactic. Also, have I mentioned I would kill to see some of Alexis's art? Anyways, Alexis's filmography, while honestly smaller than it should be, which is no doubt part and parcel due to abysmal attitudes initially towards openly gay actors, but then later on, really abysmal attitudes towards transgendered actors and actresses, and that combined with her passing away at too young of an age at 47, is still, despite all of that, fantastically quixotic. Her very first on-screen appearance is as the young kid taken through a psychosexual carnival dark ride in the 1982 music video for the Tube's She's a Beauty. Alexis is so innately cool that even at the wee age of 12, she is getting to be in something with one of the most underrated and innovative bands in rock history. Alexis's first credited feature film role is a doozy, playing Georgette in the 1989 film adaptation of Hubert Selby Jr.'s brilliant novel Last Exit to Brooklyn. From there, instead of trying out for the hot young actor roles of the day, which would have had her competing not only with her younger brother David, but also with her best friend Luke Perry, Alexis tended to actually purposely go for roles that were off the beaten path. A great example, actually, of Alexis's Arquette talent and range as an actor is in 1992's Jumpin' at the Boneyard. Here, she plays an addict who ends up getting caught by his brother, played by Tim Roth, while Alexis's character is trying to rob his apartment for drug money. It's a harrowing and I think a really powerful film that absolutely holds up. And it gives us the joy of getting to see Alexis play against type, which is something she wasn't usually given the privilege of doing in her career. But also, she shines equally next to Tim Roth. It really is a shame that this film isn't better known, and especially since it even has a small but pivotal role by the late, great Denitra Vance, who plays Alexis's girlfriend. Another notable and underseen film from Alexis's early part of her film career is the 1993 art house horror film Jack Be Nimble. This New Zealand gem has themes of strange familial relationships, abuse, and even telepathy, among many, many other things. It's absolutely a strong title to seek out, and Alexis, of course, is amazing in it. Alexis actually continued to work throughout the 90s in a mixture of indie films as well as mainstream, including the 1994 Hollywood Western Frank and Jesse, 1996 comedy Never Met Picasso, which was an indie film with Margot Kidder, and Adam Sandler's 1998 hit The Wedding Singer. The latter is probably the role Alexis is best known for to mainstream audiences, which is partially a shame. For starters, it's a small role, and it has her playing a Boy George kind of impersonator of a wedding cover band. Now, there is not a damn thing wrong with some Boy George, but the character is presented as kind of a partially, at least, gay/trans panic joke. However, what does make this special is Alexis. However, what makes this special is Alexis herself, because she transcends all the dumb and adds sensitivity, charisma, and we even get to hear her amazing singing voice in this part. Now, speaking of Alexis's great singing voice, on YouTube there is a fantastic channel called Arquette Official, which has all kinds of great Alexis related materials, but there are several shot on video clips of Alexis tearing the roof off and the house down, singing all kinds of songs. Actually, you can find her doing absolutely roaring cover of the Stooges' Search and Destroy, which is almost right up there with the Dictators cover. The only thing actually that's keeping it from being equal that is the band with her's good, they ain't the Dictators, but still Alexis is amazing. Her doing Helter Skelter and bringing all the vim and vigor to that, and then doing fucking Copacabana. She's doing Barry Manilow. I mean, and this is an era where even back in the 90s and before that, I mean, drag queens lip syncing was, and always has been, a very common thing. And there is an absolute art to lip syncing. Alexis didn't need to lip sync because she could just go up on stage and do it. The multi-talent of this amazing and just completely just shining star of a creative will eternally floor me. Now, some other notable roles that Alexis had. She had a turn as Sydney in the 2001 film Tomorrow by Midnight, which is on this release, obviously. And she even got to play Caligula. Yes, I said it. Caligula in an episode of Xena Warrior Princess. Now, acting, especially when you're trying to make a career of it, is a trying experience to say the least. But imagine going from having co-starring and the occasional lead roles to all of a sudden having your options get whittled down more and more, especially once you are female presenting. And now you're just getting like walk-on credits with titles like, Lady in Jail, Drag Queen, and even just the T-slur. Thanks, Lords of Dogtown. Given what short time Alexis Arquette had in this earthly realm, it's really a shame on an already shameful industry that this is how she was seen. Even despite the fact that, even when she was still presenting as cisgendered man, she still had to fight the whole, oh, that's a gay actor thing. And from day one, she always just told people, I'm an actor. Meaning she could play anything. That's an actor's job, is to play a role. You're not playing yourself. You're not playing a documentary. You're playing a character. And Alexis could bring that. She had the range. She had the presence. She had the ability. She brought her A game anytime she was given the chance to prove it. You know what? I have not come here to bury Hollywood or the entertainment industry, especially since both are, I think, pretty much doing a perfectly fine job on their own. But we're here to celebrate Alexis Arquette. Alexis Arquette, you beautiful rock star, you handsome man, you gorgeous woman, and most importantly of all, you unforgettable human. You and your heart will always shine celestial.